Hey everyone, and welcome to something rather unique on my channel. I've never done an art video like this before. Granted, I have done an art video in the past where I talked about what I drew, but this is the first time you ever get to see me coloring something I already created. As you saw by the title, this is the Deep Sea Magikarp, a regional variant for a project I'm working on. Now, I know you're probably wondering why it's already drawn and why there's two images going to be flashing on screen. I can't really sketch on my laptop that well, so I do it all by hand, then send the image over to my computer, then trace over it. The reason why I didn't show you the tracing over the image, that takes an actual day to do. So I did that all beforehand so I could just color it in during this 2-hour session. I started with the insides first, as you can see, because these are the first thing that need to be colored in. It's very important for later on in this video. You wouldn't believe how important it is. You're probably wondering why this doesn't really look like a Magikarp. To an extent, it has some of the features of Magikarp. It has that agape mouth, the big dead eye, the whiskers, but instead this whiskers end with little light bulbs because it's a deep sea variant, of course. I took a lot of inspiration from some of the deep sea fishes in our real world. Some that are translucent, which I think I successfully capture in this. And the bioluminescence, which they're the neon colors I choose. As you can see, I'm trying to get the colors right from my original drawing I did by hand. I get the colors and I brighten them up so they look good on screen. The orange and the yellow for its eyes are part of the bioluminescence of this Pokemon. They both glow very brightly. And the green also, which you can see it on the image I flashed back to, the hand-drawn image, the green bits on the fins and stuff, that is also bioluminescent. And of course the light bulbs at the end of the antenna are bioluminescent. The whiskers, I mean. This Pokemon was actually very hard to design compared to my original starters I created. I thought doing a regional form would be much easier, but I was sorely mistaken. It was much, much harder than I thought. You had to capture that feel of what the Pokemon already is, in this case Magikarp. I had to capture Magikarp, but change it so slightly, or so drastically sometimes, as we've seen with some regional forms in Alola. And I think I captured that quite well in this image. Instead of having the spikes, I rounded them so it would look a bit softer, but that is also where the bioluminescence is, in the tips of those rounded things that I'm coloring in now. That green right there, that glows. That's the only thing I wasn't really able to capture with this image was the bioluminescence. I tried my hardest thing, and the fluorescent colors would signify, yes, this would glow. But I wish there was a way I could do this with a black light. May have these actual parts of the body glow. If I ever did a painting of this, I would definitely consider doing a bit of a black light thing going on there. This session of coloring it in actually took 2 hours. Thank God for the miracle of editing. The bioluminescence parts actually weren't that hard to do, thankfully. They went quick. And none of this is done with a touchpad, mind you. None of this is done with an art pad. I wish it was, but this is all done with mouse. Which is why it takes over 2 hours, and the edges aren't that great, but I try to smooth them out with the brushes. Thank God GIMP is forgiving with how it works. It was a very fun to color though. It was so bright. It was so drastically different compared to the other Pokemon I've created so far. Sapthy, Hootian, and Heliod, they're normal colored creatures, so to speak. This is a technicolored nightmare almost, but it all comes together in the end. This is the first time in any drawing, I worked with such neon colors. And in a way, it was very liberating. I think definitely when I do its evolution and further Mega Evolution for Gyarados, I think I'm going to keep some of these, as you can see here actually, before I continue my mind, where I'm coloring in the inside bit, coloring it over, to give it that translucent feel. Like, if you ever seen deep sea fish, they have either one or two things, or sometimes both. They glow. They're like, they light up like the 4th of July down at the bottom of the ocean, bioluminescence. It's one of the most beautiful, breathtaking things, and that truly inspired this drawing. Another thing, and this doesn't only go for bottom fish, bottom dwellers, this goes for some fish that swim normal depths. They're translucent, which I always was enamored with. And to try to incorporate that with a Pokemon, a fan Pokemon, because this would never fly in the real Pokemon games. We barely have bones showing, and I have an entire digestive tract showing with this Pokemon and its brain, which is very small, mind you. But it's just something I had to do with this image. I know it would never work out, but I had to do it. Another big source of inspiration, which I screwed up somehow. I don't know what I did, but I had to shut down GIMP and everything to fix it. It took me about 20 minutes to figure out what I did wrong, but I ended up finding wrong. But another big inspiration Deep Sea Magikarp took was from the game Subnautica. When I was playing that game and I saw the peeper fish, that one big eye, and I was like, that's awesome. That's what inspired the eye for this Pokemon, actually. And the Deep Sea Gyarados is going to have a little inspiration from Subnautica as well. If you're familiar with the Ghost Leviathan, that's kind of what triggered this whole Deep Sea Magikarp, Deep Sea Gyarados thing, was the Ghost Leviathan. So you'll see a touch of the Ghost Leviathan within Deep Sea Gyarados. But before this video gets any further in, I want to read... before we get to that, I'm starting to color, making it look translucent. This was so hard to do. It took me some experimenting with the airbrush to get it down just right, and I finally figured out how to do it by turning down the opacity of it. And I had trouble, you will see in a little bit, I have trouble with the intestines part of it. It gave me such a hard time, but I'm so happy with the way it turned out in the end. But before this video gets on too much, I want to read you the Pokédex entry for Deep Sea Magikarp. The existence of this variant only proves that Magikarp is able to exist anywhere in the world. Despite existing in a much harsher environment and being changed by the dark pressures of the ocean, it is still one of the weakest Pokemon in existence. The bioluminescence of its body only draws predators to Deep Sea Magikarp. In this case, only the dullest survive. And I know that is a rather dark for a Pokédex entry, but if you look through the history of Magikarp, Game Freak had a habit of shitting on this poor Pokemon, and I had to at least continue that with this regional variant. Granted, its typing, which I don't mention this at all, it's water dark. I know it might be hard to see, but there's a reasoning for it. And don't worry about the Mega Evolution. The Mega Evolution's Water Dragon, so it's going to be awesome when I get to that. But yes, I'm very proud of how this came out. I love the lavender I've used for the tail, for the fins. I think I will use this lavender with Deep Sea Gyarados. Like, I think I will make that the main body color, maybe. Maybe a little more deeper purple. Because I don't want to use the same blue, because with Magikarp originally it goes from red to blue. And I wanted to go from blue, but not to red, because red is always shaped for the shiny. I will probably keep red for the shiny Gyarados, because you can't change that. You can't, that's taboo if I change that, even with this regional form. But having this nice lavender, but deep it down to more like an Emperor's Purple, maybe, I think that would work really well for the body. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't even have that drawn yet. Well, that's pretty much all I have to say with this. I didn't expect me to talk for almost the whole video with only about a minute left. I'm going to leave you with the rest of let the music play me out. If you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed this art, I plan on doing more of this. I really like doing this. It's relaxing. I love art in general, and for my Pokemon project, this is needed. Expect more of these. I'll be doing the same thing for Gyarados. And probably for not every Pokemon, but like the really cool ones, I'll definitely show you guys. I might even live stream it. Who knows? But if you enjoyed this, I always love a like and share it around. It helps me grow as a channel, and I do appreciate it. If you want to become an Ember of the Phoenix, you can subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter. My Twitter link's down in the description of the video, as well as on the front page of my channel. There's also some other fun links down in the description that can lead you to some places. And with all that said, this has been Black Phoenix with Deep Sea Magikarp. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.